people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for my March TBR. I am pre-filming this video February 20th, and I can honestly say that February was a better reading month than I was really expecting it to be, so I'm hoping March will be a great reading month. Historically, March is one of the reading months where I tend to read the most out of the entire year. Like March, April, May, and September tend to be my strongest reading months in terms of quantity and also matched with quality. So anyway, with that said, the first book on this list is called The Night Compass. This story is a middle-grade fantasy sequel, and it's the fourth book in this middle-grade fantasy series that I've been keeping up with since book one, and it's written by one of my favorite authors of all time, Amanda Foody, whom I've said before is an absolute genius. So naturally, I'm so excited for the next installment, especially since I read book 3 last year, and it felt like very transitional, which makes sense because there are 7 books planned in this series, so book 4 might feel like the big middle. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but basically when I read like a giant great fantasy series, I know that each book has its own arc, but then each book is also part of the great overarching arc of the entire series. So I'm hoping that this book will have more of an introduction of the great overarching arc as well as in its own arc, so it will feel more like its own book rather than a sequel, like a transitional sequel like the third book felt like. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically I'm so excited to read this book. I love the series so much. So with that said, this book comes out March 5th. The next book on this list also comes out March 5th, and it's called The Marble Queen. This story is a YA sapphic fantasy graphic novel. I've been told this book feels like it has the political drama of Nimona, which I've seen the movie of, but not read the book, and the movie was absolutely so fantastic. And the romance of the prince and the dressmaker, which I absolutely loved so much. So naturally, I'm so excited to read this book. I'm also so excited to dive into another fantasy sapphic graphic novel. I feel like I haven't read a really good graphic novel in quite a bit. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like I just don't remember having one be so impactful this year yet. So with that said, I'm so excited to read this book. The concept sounds so interesting and absolutely so fantastic. Being compared to Nimona and the Prince and the Dressmaker is such a high compliment. Again, I haven't read the book for Nimona, but I did absolutely love the movie, and the animation is so fantastic. So anyway, with that said, this book comes out March 5th, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next book on this list is called The No Girlfriend Rule. This story is a YA sapphic queer contemporary that comes out March 5th, and it sounds like a very light-hearted, fun, queer rom-com, which I'm so excited for. I'm always in the mood for like a light-hearted, wholesome, marginalized romantic story. I don't know if those words together really made any sense, but basically I'm just so excited for this book. The concept and the synopsis kind of reminds me of like No Boy Summer or Cool for the Summer or Imogene Obviously. I don't know if those comparisons are really actually accurate because obviously I haven't read the book yet, but with that said, I don't know, my expectations are very high. I'm just so excited to read this book, and the cover alone is so pretty. It just looks so fantastic, and all the reviews keep saying that it's like a lighthearted rom-com delightful book. So anyway, with all that said, this book comes out March 5th, and I'm very excited to read it. The next book on this list is called The Lumbering Giants of Windy Pines. This story comes out March 12th, and it's a middle-grade urban fantasy following a young wheelchair user main character. And it's an urban fantasy, and I'm so excited to read it because first of all, the representation looks so awesome, and I don't think I've read a book with a physically disabled main character this entire year. And I think I've read about 50 books this year, so that really says a lot. Second of all, the concept sounds so interesting and so well done. I love like small town mystery vibes, and this book gives that, like that type of atmospheric small town, new town, like mystery. I don't know if that makes any sense actually, but basically, I'm so excited to read this book because it sounds so interesting and so fascinating. I'm so excited to find out like what happens and like who did it and like whatever. You know what I mean? I don't really know if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm being vague on purpose. But basically, this book comes out March 12th, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next book on this list is called In the Orbit of You. This story is a YA contemporary that comes out March 19th, and it's written by an author whose books that I have loved so often in the past. I don't think I phrased that correctly, but basically every single one of her books I have rated either 4 or 5 stars in the past. So naturally, with her next book, I'm so excited to read it. And I was excited to read this book before I saw the cover or the title or anything. The fact that her name at all is attached to it made me excited because of her reputation. I don't know if that made any sense either, but basically I'm so excited to read this book. As for the synopsis, I think it's about a girl who is reconnecting with her best friend after not seeing him for like a decade or something like that. And it's how like friendships change over time and finding your voice after trauma or something like that. I'm not completely certain, but anyway, with all that said, I'm so excited to read this book. It comes out March 19th, and I hope that you are also excited for it. The last book on this list, and hopefully not the least, is called Where Sleeping Girls Lie. This story is a YA sapphic dark academia thriller, if I'm not mistaken, and it's written by the same author of Ace of Spades, which I've said so many times that I didn't like as much as the general consensus, but I'm excited for this book because the synopsis kind of reminds me of like Their Vicious Games, if that makes any sense. Like typically I do enjoy dark academia, gothic thrillers that don't have like a fantastical or paranormal twist to them. So I am excited for this book. I'm just hoping that it won't remind me of the author's debut. And also I think this book has a singular character perspective, which I think is better done in mysteries than having multiple perspectives, if that makes any sense. Anyway, this book comes out March 19th, and I'm so excited to read it. It's probably the most highly anticipated book on this entire list because of everyone raving about Ace of Spades previously. So anyway, I don't really know if anything I'm saying in this video makes any sense at all, but basically I'm so excited to read this book. I hope that it's absolutely so good. I believe it follows a sapphic black main character after her roommate disappears and she's at a new boarding school, so that's exciting. I mean, it's not exciting, but I'm excited to find out like what happens next. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this book. So in conclusion, since I tend to read a lot in March of previous years, I expect this year to be absolutely nothing different. So with that said, I hope these books are absolutely so fantastic. And if you enjoy this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the hedgehog emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!